Thank you. Mike Bovia from the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. This is for Jess. Just wondering how much, if any, you studied up on the Spock Chapel flirtation once you got the role.
I mean, I definitely read into it. I read as much as I could on Majel and Chapel, and obviously the Spock relationship is the major part of her her portrayal in TOS. So yeah, I watched a bunch of TOS. I did a lot of reading. Yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Thanks to both of you for joining today. You're the latest in a long line of Star Trek medical professionals in the new show. In addition to the normal sort of Star Trek jargon and the whole universe, you also have all your medical tools, which are unique to your sort of part of the ship. Did you watch much of other doctors in Star Trek history to sort of get used to operating, no pun intended, in your sickbay environment?
That's
Yeah, I really I watched, of course, TOS, and I think I watched one other show and I left it at that, really. Just, because you don't want to be doing what everybody else has been doing, or you don't want to get too many influences, so to speak, so yeah. So I just try to craft something new and something different and something that I can bring my qualities, whatever they may be, to.
All right, thanks.
And Rachel?
So with Trek, it is something that has been around for so long, and families watch together, meaning that there are going to be children who look up to both of your characters. So I want to know, as actors, you guys just did the mission in Chicago, and so what is the most exciting part about getting to see how these characters are going to kind of help younger generations find what they want to like in Trek and help with their journey?
Yeah, I think that it's an enormous privilege as an artist to be able to contribute to Star Trek. I think that it has always had such a strong cultural impact. Like, it's kind of evident in everything, and it means so much to so many people. And I think the people who make Star Trek have always been really mindful to be intentional about that power that they hold, and so to be invited into that as an artist, to be able to use your voice and your heart and your passion to positively influence, like to reach the younger generation with that is the goal as an artist. For me personally, is like that. You couldn't ask for more. It's an enormous responsibility and enormous privilege.
Jamie?
I love the relationship between the Doctor and Chapel, and he says in the episode, "You're my favorite." What kind of backstory, Babs, were you given on their relationship?
They've known each other for a while, and they've been on some adventures together, but I don't want to specify what those adventures may be, as that might be a spoiler. But there's definitely a backstory of respect for each other's work, for engagement, for having spent time together in sort of more adverse circumstances. And I think that informs their relationship. Yeah. So it's from a deeper familial point of view when he says, yeah, you're my favorite.
Ian?
Hey guys, thanks for doing this. Star Trek shows can run a long time, in some cases 7 seasons. How exciting is that? And at the same time, how daunting is that for both of you?
Oh, I think it's so delicious. I think the prospect of that is amazing, to be like, wow, I could be with this character for so long. I could be developing these relationships for a really significant portion of my life. I think that the prospect of that is really exciting to me anyway. You, Babs?
I think it's a special thing. I mean, without a doubt, like Jess had so eloquently expressed before, in the question before, it's to be part of this enduring legacy. And so it's a job as an actor, but, very quickly you realize it means more than that because of how many people are so invested in this work and in this show and, and all the series through the years. And so, we have a challenge ahead of us. 7 seasons, 6 seasons, sounds wonderful, but, we want to be able to give worthy episodes and worthy seasons and, and keep it meaningful for people. We don't want to just clock in every day. We want to make this as truthful and as meaningful and powerful as possible for those that engage with it.
Thank you.
Dana?
Yes, hi, thank you. My question is for both of you. You both play people of science. And so I was wondering, Babs, you give a kind of a small little monologue explaining how you would break certain regulations because we're just basically kind of all of the same. And so one of the things is particularly there was an episode kind of not spoiling anything about genetically modified species. Question is for both of you. Do you feel that rules are sometimes a necessity?
That rules are sometimes a necessity?
Those rules that you guys have in place are a necessity in order to protect humanity from kind of doing danger upon themselves.
I think as a character, Chapel believes that rules are guidelines and people come first. And situations are like you have to pay attention to the circumstances of a situation and not be blinded by the rules, So I think there's definitely a respect for the rules and the regulations and that they're there for a reason, but it's almost, it's a framework from which to then make decisions,
I would absolutely echo that, people write rules, and of course, people are not infallible. Therefore, at times, the rules that are created need to be sometimes taken down and stepped on in certain circumstances. So, yes, rules are not something that we should live and die by.
Diana?
Hi there, I'm Diana with TV Fanatic. Thank you both for doing this today. As the medical professionals on the show, how meta did it feel to be producing a show during COVID?
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, it is strange. It's still strange.
It gives you a sense of, first of all, with all that was going on, we were really cocooned, and it definitely gave it weight, and some of the, at least one episode we touched upon, something like that, without saying anything, but it really, it tells us we need to be respectful of what's going on and just really like button up and, and do what's best for everybody around us, not just ourselves, but everybody else around us. We have to care, and we're carers, in the sick bay. So it was definitely, it was definitely a factor for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Hello, Kyle Hedeniak with Trek News. Thank you both for doing this today. So my question will go to Babs. Babs, you've been in character now, like the rest of your cast, for a while now. You have at least one full season under your belt, and you have more than that now. How much of you, the actor, is in the character you play? Any similarities or differences that you think have cropped up over the course of your time with this character?
I would say so. I would say his warmth is something that comes from me. I'm probably a little more. I can be sharper with my language at times, but I'm working on it. No, I think he's a wonderful guy, and I think I am too. And all we really have is the self. We can bring ourselves to it, and of course, we're not exactly our characters, but our qualities and how we use our qualities to engage what the character is on paper is what the character then becomes, right? That's the performance. It's how whether he's always just strong or he's vulnerable, or the fragility that he might bring or vulnerability that he might bring to certain moments, and those choices when he decides to bring it or not bring it. I think those are things that the qualities that the actor must have, and the engagement of them with the written word is what gives you what you then see on the screen.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Anthony?
This is a question for Jess. One of the surprises is how Chapel feels like kind of a whole new character. And so how do you see Chapel in comparison to the original character on TOS, both how she's the same and how she's different, and how that original informed you?
Yeah, for sure. I think that when I watched Major's performance, what I distilled most from that and what I took from that was her candor and her humor and her wit. But those things were just little seedlings, and in the 2021 rebirth of her, there's so much more to her, I think. I think that Chapel in TOS was very much, her whole plot line was quite connected to who she was pining after. Like that was a big feature of who she was. And I think that's different this time. She is, I think she's got this lust for life and this mischievous nature that that I love to embody. And she's been through some stuff, actually. Like I think that they really, Akiva and Henry were great in the sense that when we were before the start of season 1, we sat down and we chatted about like, who is she going to be? And they had some points, and they also gave me license to kind of really explore. And we talked about what her backstory might be, because I think that wasn't really explored either. That wasn't her life outside of Starfleet wasn't really explored. And so, I think that she's got a bit more like, I don't know, she's like fallible and she's rough and tumble, and she's like, she is really curious about other people and what their honest expression is, and like bringing that out, which I think is a really cool, thoughtful and kind aspect to her that I think is new.
Great. Thank you all so much for joining us. That's all the time we have for this roundtable.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Everybody, nice hearing.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
And JPI